Okay, good morning. Oh, I should say good afternoon, Melbourne, good afternoon, Australia, and good day or evening to all our international listeners too. I'm Helen Taylor. Welcome to my show, Inspired Radio. I'm here with you every Monday, 4 p.m. Melbourne, Australia time, and Sunday, 11 p.m. Central Time, US and Canada, for conversations and stories to inspire you. This is the BBS Radio TV platform, and we're going live to about 190 plus outlets worldwide. Before I get started, I've got some people that sponsor the show along the way, and I'd like to thank Adam and Ali today for their sponsorship and for their kindness. Thank you so much. Inspired Radio is all about change and getting uncomfortable and shaking up the status quo. We're breaking free from limiting systems and embracing our infinite potential. My guests are here to tell their story and to reveal how they have overcome change and made better lives for themselves and, of course, for others, and to inspire you with their stories. Because storytelling is creating the new world. Joining us today is Mike Holt. He's an investigator, researcher, and educator of common law and the systems that govern our lives. He's got experience with radio, publishing, real estate, technology. The list goes on. He's always questioned the way things work from the sounds of it, digging deep to uncover how ordinary people can reclaim their rights and navigate life with confidence. Today, we're looking at his platforms for common law and self-governance. And also, I want to talk to him about his books he's written, because there's one called Life, Death, and Everything in Between. I want to find out more about that. It's time to have these conversations and to understand more about our world that we live in and to better understand ourselves. So, welcome, Mike Holt.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
You're welcome. So tell me a little bit about Mike Holt. How did you get to this point of the whole common law thing?
Oh, I I started questioning the political process right back when I turned 18 and was asked to vote.
Uh-huh.
And I always thought, before that, you vote one man, one vote, and that was it. And then I was told, no, Mike, you've got to vote for preferences and all. And I didn't understand all of that, so I started looking into it. But life intervened, and I never really got into it until Whitlam came along. Now, I just got out of the Air Force and I'd served up in the Vietnam War. And so I had a pretty vested interest in knowing what he was going to do about this war, because at the time there was the big moratorium marches going on all over Australia. I was a part of that. I think I marched in William Street in one moratorium march with over 50,000 people in my Air Force uniform. And
Mhm.
people were looking at me going, what are you doing here? And I said, well, I've been there, mate, and I know what's going on. So that gave me a little bit of cachet, you might say, to be there. But
Sorry there. So you've been a thinker. You've been a thinker forever. Like at 18,
mm,
to be thinking about preferences and why we're voting certain ways, that's critical
mm.
thinking. And that's I want to point that out, right? Because it's a bit of a lost art.
Yeah, well, I think I got that from my mother because she too was a critical thinker and always fighting against the system. And in fact, she was part of the team that stopped the toll roads up here on the Sunshine Coast. So when I stood for Parliament in 2016 for One Nation, one of the founding members, Peter Wise, came up to me. He said, "Holt," he said, "are you any relation to Sylvia Holt?" I said, "Yeah, that's my mother." He said, "Oh, you come from good stock."
Oh,
So,
wow.
bit of a surprise to me.
Isn't it interesting, though, to think that, like, for a few generations, we've been fighting the system? I mean, that's just incredible, isn't it?
Well, since then I've done some research, and my history of it goes way back to the 1780s when one of my ancestors, General Joseph Holt, was leading the Irish Rebellion, and he got arrested and sent to Botany Bay, and he served out his time, became a big sheep farmer,
Yep.
and even owned part of Camden, which was, of course, MacArthur's sheep farm in the early days. And when he retired, he sold everything up and returned to Ireland with most of his family. But a lot of the Holts in Australia now are related to him through his one or two of his sons that he left behind.
Mm.
I'm related to him on the Irish side
Yep.
because my family, my great grandfather, no, my grandfather was born in a place called Cool in Ireland. And then he originally came from Westmeath, I believe. And
Right.
Westmeath was where General Joseph Holt came from.
So it's in
So
the blood, Mike. It's in the blood.
it's in my DNA.
Your DNA. And you saying that reminds me that now I don't know how many greats it is, but my great, 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 great grandfather on my father's side was Sir Joseph Lyons, who was the first Prime Minister of Australia.
Oh, there you go.
There you go.
Yeah.
But what I heard out of what you were just saying, I didn't know when I did my little intro and my research on you that you were part of One Nation. Did I hear right?
Oh, yeah. Briefly,
Right.
I joined One Nation. I stood for election, and actually, Pauline organised my first political speech at the RSL in Maroochydore. And she
Okay.
told me, "You've got 5 minutes to talk." Well, 20 minutes later, I got off because I had a lot to say. And
Yeah.
after all, I'm standing, I need to talk, right?
Yes.
Oh, she was dirty on me. And I started to realize even then there's something wrong with these political parties.
Uh,
But I want to tell you a funny story about how I started my speech because I got up there and I said, when Kevin Rudd first stood for Parliament and was elected, he was so excited. He called his mother up and he said, Mum, guess what? I've just been elected to Parliament. And she was so surprised. She said, Honestly? And he said, What's that got to do with it? And that's why
oh
I'm
my
standing for
gosh.
Parliament. Now, I don't know if it was true or not, but it was a good joke.
It was a good joke. But what I'm hearing, though, is that you have first-hand experience in rubbing shoulders with the political parties and
Mm,
members. And I'm always interested in experience. I'm not interested in second-hand stories and things like that, because
mm.
experience really holds weight. So how did you get, so hang on, let's go back to Gough Whitlam and so you were part of the Vietnam War.
Yes.
Yeah. And you've come back here. And what set you out onto the streets protesting?
Well, because I saw what was going on up there in the war, I realized we shouldn't have even been there. I mean, we had no fight with the Vietnamese. It was nothing to do with us. And you know why we were there?
Why?
Because when I think it was Holt, my namesake, not my relative.
Yes.
I come from the side of the family that can actually swim. My father was an Olympic swimmer.
Oh my
Seriously.
gosh, this guy's full of one-liners.
But um, I saw what was going on up there,
What
and
did you see?
I came.
What did you
Hmm?
see?
I saw a lot of needless deaths. I saw planes crash right in front of me with the guys getting killed.
Right.
One night at 3 p.m. I was it was a pay night too because I was playing poker in the barracks, and this guy came in with a full bomb load. He hadn't been able to unload because something happened. And he's careered down the runway into the bomb dump down the end of the runway about 2 kilometers away, blew it up, and we got thrown off our seats. And the poor guys, of course, died. And I saw other guys dying pretty nasty. So, and I realized the Vietnamese are fighting for their country.
Right.
And what
Yeah.
was I doing up? Why was I up there attacking them?
Yes.
So when I came back, and I also saw a lot of stupid waste up there. I mean, it was just ridiculous what the Americans were wasting. And I don't like waste. I believe we should just use what we have and make the best use of it. So when I came back, I didn't want to get involved in politics, but I couldn't let it go. I mean, it's just my nature. I couldn't let it go. So I joined the other people out there trying to stop this war because I don't believe in wars. And I think you ask most veterans, they'll say the same thing to you.
Well,
We've
you
seen
ask
the death
most
and
people.
destruction.
You ask most people, they'll say the same thing. Absolutely.
Well, yes, I know, but especially veterans, we
Sure.
know what it's like and we're not going to go back again.
Sure.
Unfortunately, we've been dragged into it now.
Yes.
And you'd be surprised how many veterans out there are listening to what I'm saying and supporting what I'm doing. And I think if it ever comes down to getting kinetic, the veterans will be right there standing shoulder to shoulder with us.
And everybody is really starting to question and challenge the art of war more and more, I think, these days, aren't they? Because,
Mm,
war is not, if most people don't want it, then what's it for? Well, certain factions, certain people want resources.
that's right.
Yep.
And profits.
That's all
You
it
know,
comes down to. Mm.
the Vietnam War was all about money and politics and manufacturing. So it was the we were sent over there for two reasons.
Hmm.
One was because the government was borrowing millions of dollars from the American banks, and
Yep.
they wanted a way to be repaid in dollars. And so they forced us in 1966 to change over to dollars from the pounds, shillings, and pence that are mandated in our constitution.
Okay.
Didn't ask us, they
Yep.
just told us, right? We're
Yep.
going to change over on February the 14th. We're going to go to dollars, and it's going to be so easy. And
Mm.
we all got gold because, sucked in because, yeah, calculating pounds, shillings, and pence was awful. It was on the 12 calculation rather than the decimal.
Yep.
So they sent us over there to the Vietnam War as well as collateral for the loans.
That's what I was hearing when you were saying it. It was like, holy cow, collateral.
Hmm.
Wow. There's some people at some levels that are using like men and women as short change.
Well, entities
Yeah.
that
Okay.
can be exploited.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, so after we stopped the war, I I travelled around a bit. I went over to Western Australia and then I travelled all over New Zealand. And when I came back, I got offered a job at Radio 4AY in Townsville,
Uh-huh.
where I worked for a couple of years. And then I thought, you know what? I want to go over to England because I met Malcolm Fraser while I was working at the radio station. And I thought to myself, what a long streak of rubbish this piece of thing is. And
You didn't like
I,
him, in other words.
I didn't like him.
Okay.
In fact, when I shook his hand, I counted all my fingers afterwards.
Oh.
But no, I mean, I saw through these politicians very quickly, and I never knew what I could do about it until I came back from Thailand. But anyway, I worked at 4AY, and then in '78, I decided to go overland to England
Yeah.
because that's where I was actually born.
Okay.
And I thought I'd go back for a visit. I left there when I was 5, so I'm really an Australian. But um, I travelled as far as Thailand and got offered a job there, and seemed to be very good at
Oh, so
that.
Thailand was on the way and you ended up staying there.
Yeah, well, they offered me a job, and I had a ticket out to London the next day. I was going to fly over to London, and I went back to the hotel and I thought about it, and I thought to myself, well, here in England, I don't know anybody. It's cold and the weather's horrible. The Labour government, which I didn't like. The food's awful. No family, no friends. Well, I had a family over there, but very distant. So here in Thailand, I've got the three hots: hot weather, hot food, hot women. So I stayed. Well, one of the hot women snagged me, and a year later I was married. And so
Oh,
we
that's
went
lovely.
into business, and I got it. I started up my first business up
Mhm.
there. It was an English school, and at one stage there, I think I had about 15 teachers working for me, and we were sending them out into companies. And I also had the school where people used to come. So it was a
Okay.
good business. And then after about 10 years, we got divorced for personal reasons. It was an amicable divorce, but we just couldn't get on any further.
Yep.
And about 10 years later, I met my current wife and didn't mean to, but she was standing behind the perfume counter in a department store and looking very pretty as I walked past. And I
Okay.
got about 5 steps and I thought, I'll go back and talk to her. So
So
I
Cupid was
started.
hanging around somewhere with his arrow.
Yeah, well, I wasn't aware of that. So I started chatting her up. She didn't speak any English, so I had to chat her up in Thai. And I'd been there long enough to speak pretty good Thai. And we got married. We've now got two daughters. And when they were still young, back in 2009, we packed everything up. I sold my businesses and we came home to Australia, where
Okay.
my daughters went to school here and became Aussie Sheilas.
Okay. So when did that then turn into, I mean, for starters, you've reinvented yourself quite a number of times.
Mm.
There's something really credible about men and women that do that. Because it's like you're always taking some risks, getting uncomfortable, making changes, yeah, questioning things. So when you came back to Australia, you said 2009. How did you then get into this whole common law setup?
Yeah, well, just to go back to your comment there, it's called survival. Right.
Oh, no, I
There's
don't like to call it survival.
well, there's no safety net up in Thailand. You either make it or you don't,
Right.
you know? So
Yep.
when I went into business, I actually had 35,000 baht to my name, which was nothing. It was about $2,500.
Okay.
And I started the company with that, or the business with that. I hired a house and set it all up and as a school, and we started advertising. And within a year, we'd made over 1 million baht profit. And it
Okay.
was it
Wow.
was like that every year. It was just really good.
Yes.
So, I'm not afraid of, as you say, reinventing myself because when one door closes, another one always opens. And
Sure.
I've always been open to any new opportunities that come along. And that's what happened to me actually when I started my second business was an IT company.
Okay.
And I was running that, and I'm looking around for a niche in the market, because there's always a good way. That's always a good way to market your business. So I looked around and I realized all of the foreign real estate companies in Thailand, they had websites,
Yeah.
but they were just online brochures. They didn't have any listings. They didn't give you any real information. And so I set up a company, a website, and I wrote a program to display settings
Okay.
listings.
Listings. Yes.
And so I set up this website with some fake listings. And the next thing I know, I'm getting some emails from people all around the world. I want to have a look at that property. So I thought,
Uh-huh.
I better go and find some.
There's nothing
So,
like starting a new trend, right?
yeah. Well, it gets more interesting because as soon as I started putting on new properties, people started turning up and I was selling properties. It was just because in 1997, when they had the Asian financial crisis,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Thailand borrowed billions of dollars from the EMF. What is it? The the banking AMF or EMF or whatever it was. Um,
Sure.
oh, the World Bank or something. I don't know. It's one of the banks.
Yep.
Anyway, and they paid it off by 2001.
Wow.
Right, a year ahead of schedule.
That's
So
incredible.
yeah, well, we had a good prime minister. He was a businessman. He was the fifth richest man in the world. His
Mhm.
name was Thaksin, and he had built up a business, the mobile phone business in Thailand, and became very, very rich.
Yep.
And he was a smart man. I really liked him. He was Trump before Trump came along.
Okay. Okay.
And he set up all sorts of good programs, which I've learned from. And he did some great stuff. So um, I watched all of this. And at the same time, in Thailand, I lived through 5 coups. So I know what a coup looks like. And you
Okay.
asked me when I came back to Australia, how did I get involved in politics? Well, 2 years after I arrived here, Gillard stabbed Rudd in the back and became Prime Minister.
Yep.
And I'm looking at this and I'm going, this is a coup. We
Uh,
don't do coups in Australia. What's going on? And
Okay.
so I started investigating.
Mhm.
And I hooked up with an ex-military guy. Uh, what was his name? Charles Mollison.
Mhm.
And he was the guy that drove the APCs to rescue the guys at the Battle of Long Tan. And a very interesting chap. And he and I worked together for a couple of years, and he had written a draft constitution to replace the one we've got. But I kept asking him, Charles, how are you going to implement this? And he had no answers. So
Right.
eventually we sort of drifted apart, and I started up a group called Advance Australia. And then along came Reclaim Australia, and it just sounded too much the same. So I changed the name to not Advance, Reclaim Australia. That's right. And then they came along, Reclaim something else, and I changed it to Advance
And
Australia.
Australia. Yep.
Yeah.
Mm.
So basically, that's how it started.
Okay. You started rubbing shoulders with politics again, but you were seeing it through new eyes because you're
Mm,
absolutely right. People who have seen coups or people who have seen corruption in some way, shape, or form in their own countries. I know I remember that through the beginning of COVID, I had people around me who were Polish and Hungarian, and they'd been through a lot of these lockdowns and all sorts of overreach in their own countries, and they could see what was coming,
mm,
just like you could, just like you
right.
could. But here in
Yeah.
Australia, we just had no experience at
Mm.
all in seeing and spotting corruption or overreach, do we?
Correct.
Mm,
No, that's right. And that's the problem. Most Australians have had the wool pulled over their eyes. They're walking around in the dark. They don't know what's going on. And this is a real problem because the people who are doing all of this to us, they know exactly what they're doing and they've got a plan.
yeah.
Well, now we have a plan too. And
Okay.
I'd like to share the screen here if I may, and I'll
Well, for
show you what,
those that are hearing this on audio are not going to see what you're sharing. Um,
no, but I'll describe it for you.
thank you.
So can you just let me share the screen there, please?
Um, no,
If you
because I don't have the share option there. It's not
really?
there while I'm on record, I would suggest.
No, it should be there.
No,
Try more.
try more.
Hmm. Sharing.
Sh-
All right, never mind. I'll describe it anyway.
Okay.
So I've set up a website called futureplan.earth.
Okay. Yes.
And in that, I have created 5 things that we can do to totally change the way this government we govern ourselves, right? Because
Mm,
right now we are being governed from the top down, and that's not working. Never has worked. So what we need to do now is to distribute our governance to the people and
okay.
let the people govern ourselves.
Well,
And how does that work?
let's remind everybody firstly that we are the employers and
Hmm.
the government and their public servants. There's a nice name there, right? Are there to serve us. Yeah,
Well, I always say we are the masters and they are the servants. And does the servant tell the master what to do?
sure, sure.
No.
Yeah,
So,
go ahead. Go ahead.
in this future plan.earth, the first 2 steps are to bring in citizens initiated referendums. Now, when our founding fathers created or wrote the Constitution, they did a fantastic job. They consulted with constitutions all over the world and they gave it a great deal of thought and they came up with a brilliant document. But they made one fatal mistake. They put the power to amend the Constitution into the hands of the Parliament. In other words, only the Parliament can start a referendum and then we vote in the referendum. We can change the Constitution by voting in a referendum, but
Yeah,
we can't start the referendum.
yeah. No, that's not the way it should be at all.
No, no, it shouldn't be. And I can't believe our founding fathers were that stupid.
Mm,
But that's why we have these problems today. We lost the power.
yep.
And so what we've done now is we've changed the constitution immediately to put the power into the hands of the people to change the constitution. And that section 128 of the constitution gives us that power,
Hmm.
right? Step 2.
Yep.
Sorry, you were going to say something?
No, no, no. Well, for starters, for the layperson out there that maybe hasn't heard this sort of stuff, this language immediately starts to turn people off.
Okay. So how would you like me to describe it?
No, I just want to talk to them now and say, keep an open mind. Keep an
Hmm.
open mind because I would say that 100% of the people listening are not happy with the way things are and they
Sure.
want change, right? So I'm asking those people, don't turn off, right? keep an open mind and keep listening. So let's go. So firstly, it's the Constitution. It was set up incorrectly well, it was, yeah, set up incorrectly, right?
Mhm.
And two, what's step two?
Step two is a digital online voting app on the blockchain, so it can't be hacked. Now,
Oh,
we've almost finished that and it's nearly ready to release. Should be ready sometime this month.
who's we?
Sorry?
Who's we?
Well, I'm part of a team,
Thank you.
and you asked me before, how do I know Peter Horton and Donna? Well,
And
it was Peter that,
let me just say for the listeners that Peter Horton and Donna are corruption whistleblower, and I interviewed them back in November, I think, last year. So, yep, go ahead.
yeah. Well, Peter came to me a while back, and he's been helping me out ever since. He's become a very good friend and mentor, and he's just a great fella. So
Yes.
they're doing fantastic, and I am now part of his team, and
Okay.
he's now getting that the digital voting app made. As
Hmm.
I said, it's almost ready. Now, what will happen when the digital voting app is ready? We're going to invite people to come and register on that app,
Okay.
and that app is linked into um, something else, which then gives us access to all the riches of our nation. Like our in-ground riches, the coal, iron,
Resources.
whatever, right?
Resources. Yep.
Yes. Peter's been going around the Aboriginal tribes and he's been negotiating with them. Can we have access to it? And they've agreed. So, as I said, Peter's done a fantastic job and he's continuing to work very hard. I can't believe how hard he works. And I work hard, but he just leaves me for dead.
Yeah.
But
He's certainly on a mission, isn't he? Just like
yes,
you. Just like you.
yeah. Yeah,
Mhm.
well, that's why we get on so well.
Yep.
Anyway, so when we've got that voting app, if you are registered on there, as long as you vote at least once a month on an issue, we will pay you. And it'll be something that enough money that you will be able to live on.
Oh,
Now, when people start coming over to this system, do you think they're going to worry about the current government system, the corrupt system, or are they going to come onto our governance system?
that's incredibly inspiring. I mean, I had no idea that we were going to head in this direction with this
No.
conversation. But, I know that Peter and Donna and Corruption Whistleblower are talking about the Alpha Omega Trust. So they're busy working on reclaiming the people's stolen money. And if
Mm,
anybody wants to know about that, they can go back and listen to that interview, or they can, follow Corruption Whistleblower. But now you're saying that now they're also talking to the Indigenous and looking at connecting with the resources of the land.
mm.
And now you're talking about voting, and you're not talking about voting for the current governments or the current
No,
parties. You're talking about creating something very new where we're
correct.
going to be a new community or a new world.
New
And
world, new paradigm.
yeah, thank you. Thank you. I love the word paradigm, okay, because I'm all about new realities. That's what I'm creating. And so we're going to have a new paradigm where people are going to vote on anything that's significant. Is
All
that
right. Well, yeah, that's it. That's good.
yep,
Now, the next step is step three, where we reform the electoral system. Now, right now, each electorate is about 100,000 voters, give or
yep,
take,
yep,
right? And when I stood for Parliament, I realised very quickly it's almost impossible to reach out to everybody and convince them to vote for me,
sure.
no matter how much money I have, right? But
Yep.
because the big parties have got all the money and power, and they've rigged the system, they always get in. So when we change the electoral system, we're going to reduce the size of the electorates from 100,000 down to 5,000 voters. Now that will make it very relatable. So then
That's
we will
going back, sorry to interrupt there, but that's going back to villages and townships and
correct.
fabulous. Yes, keep
Yeah,
going. Hmm.
because the top-down system is one boss in charge and he's trying to do everything. He can't do it,
Yes. Yep.
right?
Yep.
So yeah, we need to bring it back down to the people. After all, the government is for the people and it's about the people,
Hmm.
right?
Yep.
So we reduce the size of the electorates, down to 5,000 voters, and we elect one of our own, not a politician.
Yes.
No, there'll be no political parties and no politicians. We elect one of our own, preferably well educated and capable of doing the job.
Yep.
And he goes into a regional government. Now, that regional government consists of 50 of those electorates.
Gotcha.
Got it?
Gotcha. Yeah, you know, this is, can I just say something here? When I was on community radio, I listened in on another interview that was going on. It was with a woman who was part of, here in Victoria, there's a little township called Millgrove. She was the Millgrove residents or residents committee, like, or group, you know, an action group. And she said that Millgrove had 650 people, and as the residents group, she'd been operating for 20 years in helping to keep the waterways clear, the pathways clear, the roads done, the solar paneling on roofs of community centres and things like that. And she was begging and borrowing from the government, having to put
Mm,
applications in to get funding, to get money. And as I was listening to her, I was thinking, why does she need the local government? Like, why can't we have small residence groups like that, where
mm,
everybody knows everybody in the community and they vote one of their own, like you're saying? So we've
mm,
already got paradigms out there that
mhm,
are operating, but they're operating in the bounds of local council and even
mm,
probably state government as well. But
mm.
you're doing something completely free of all of that.
Yes, because, you know, the government system that we have now, it just isn't working. And
No,
so if we keep on doing the same thing over and over again, that's the definition of madness, isn't it? So
absolutely.
we've got
Yes.
to change.
Yes.
So I'm
Yes.
urging your listeners to consider changing.
Yes.
Don't keep voting for the same old drongos who have never, ever done anything for you.
Hmm.
Stop voting for them. If you don't give them your power of attorney, which is your vote, they
Yep.
can't get into power over you, can they?
Yep.
And so when we move people onto the voting app, they're
Hmm.
moving away from that system and taking responsibility for their own lives and their own families and their own community. So when we set up that regional government of combining 50 electorates,
Yep.
each representative is directly accountable back to the voters and can be replaced and at any time if they don't perform. So
Good.
that will get rid of the corruption.
So it's in the hands of the people,
Right.
right? And the people are not connected to corporate either, which
No.
is a damned good thing.
Hmm. That's right.
Yes.
Now, once we've got that set up, and basically the regional government will be like a super council. It'll take care of everything that a council is supposed to take care of without all the social engineering and all the other fines and crap that they have now. They
Yep.
don't have that power. We voted against giving the councils a third tier of government power. They don't have that power, and yet they've taken it. They've assumed the power.
Yes.
That's no real power at all.
Yes.
So,
I'd
you
love
know,
I'd love to see a spreadsheet. I really would, of how much we're paying, how much our local governments, state level and federal level are absorbing financially. I would
mm,
love to see that because I think if people saw that, it would scare the bejesus out of them.
I know how you feel.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so this system that I'm describing will get rid of all of that corruption that can't, it won't be able to happen because the people will be watching their representative. Now, that representative will go and sit in regional government for 3 weeks,
Yep.
and then he'll come back to the community that elected him and consult with the voters.
Yep.
Now, at the same time, we'll also vote for one person out of the region to represent us in federal parliament, right? And federal parliament will be governed by the Constitution, Section 51, which lists all the things that federal government is responsible for managing, nothing else,
Okay.
right? So, unfortunately, federal parliament has overstepped the bounds and assumed power it does not have.
There's
So,
overreach on all levels. Absolutely.
yeah,
Yes.
the corruption from the top to the bottom is massive. Now, I lived in Thailand for 30 years. I know what corruption looks like.
Right.
And I tell you what, they're more honest with their corruption up there because once you corrupt somebody up there, they stay corrupted to you. Here, if you pay a politician today, there's no guarantee he's going to support you tomorrow. They're
Yeah.
just crooks.
Yeah.
They can't even be straight with their corruption.
Well, again, that's also telling me why you had the insight into, Malcolm Fraser. It's like when you've
Mm.
seen corruption, when you've seen it firsthand, you can smell it a mile away.
Oh, yeah. Tell
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I just go back to what I said about the money and watching what our government's actually making? Because when I worked in conveyancing, which is, the buying and selling of land and stuff here in Australia, everything goes through the State Revenue Office when you come to pay stamp duty. And one day I did a little calculation, and I won't go into all the figures, but I'm telling you right now, I had it vetted by a lawyer, and it's absolutely correct. I looked at the workspaces that were being set up, and I worked out a daily rate of stamp duty being paid to the Victorian government. I worked it out on a very minimal figure of $20,000 per transaction, which is very minimal because most transactions now are around $50 to $60,000
Mm.
for a purchase. So 20,000 covered spouse transfers because you don't pay stamp duty on those, and it covered deceased estates, things like that. So I did it on a minimal figure, and I worked out the daily rate that the Victorian government was getting in stamp duty alone, and it was $75,820,000
A day.
a day.
Woohoo.
A day. Okay. I did this in November 24. All right. I just wanted to say that out loud for people because I had to do the calculations a number of times to recheck and check myself. And then I got that lawyer to check it again because when I showed him, he was horrified. He thought I was an idiot at first until he did the figures himself. 75 mil a day to the Victorian state government alone. So wrap your head around that, guys. Where's all the money going? Let's come back now. Thank you for letting me put that little bit in there to get people thinking. Um, where's the money coming from when you said that people are going to be part of this voting system and they're going to get paid to vote, and that what they're getting paid is going to be enough to sustain themselves by the sounds of it? So, how does that work?
Look, I can't say too much at this stage because most of it is still obviously very secret because we can't let everybody know what's going on behind the scenes.
Okay.
But I can tell you that we have access to almost untold wealth.
Yes.
The Australian people have access to that. And
Yes.
that's one of the things that one of the reasons that Donna and Peter are going after the banks is to get that money back.
Yes.
But we also have all these in-ground assets,
Absolutely.
right?
Hmm.
But we're a very, very rich country. Why aren't we all retired and doing what we want to do with our lives like they do in Qatar
Yep.
and other places over in the Middle East there where they live off the oil revenue?
Hmm.
Why aren't we living off
Even,
our revenues?
even in Dubai, I didn't realize until
Yeah,
a recent trip, no one pays tax there.
no one pays tax and they don't have to work. They get paid by the Dubai government for not working if they don't want to work.
Hmm.
Right? They can do whatever they like. Most of them are driving around in Ferraris and, big and beautiful cars. They got so much money. Why?
Yes.
Because their country is very, very rich with minerals,
Hmm.
right?
Yep.
Well, theirs is only oil. We've got lots of different riches.
Resources. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So,
Okay, so the money is being worked on in the background, but
mm,
we're looking at this is a new paradigm, Mike. Absolutely, it's a new paradigm.
yeah,
And everybody just keep an open mind and really just keep following the breadcrumbs of Mike and others that are out there trying desperately to get you to start letting go of the way you've lived, really, isn't it? It's
yeah.
let go of what we've been doing because it's not working anymore.
Well, that's right. And most people are very, people don't like change. I understand that,
Yes,
right? But sometimes you've got to change because you can't, it's untenable to stay as you are. And
yes,
it's become untenable for most Australians now to live as we are. We can't live with this top-down government anymore. They're destroying us, not just destroying our personally, but they're destroying our country.
yes.
And for what? Greed
And power and
and power. Yeah.
whatever else it is. It's all very
Yeah.
much ego running the show. Yeah.
And that
Okay.
strutting little idiot that's down in Parliament who claims he's leading the country. Oh, would somebody arrest that man?
Well, I mean, that's why they've brought in the new legislation about, hate.
Do you know why he did that?
Why?
You remember a couple of months ago he got on and he was complaining about the memes of him dressed up in a tutu. I
No, I
made the
don't
tutu.
watch a lot of mainstream, but okay, yes.
Well, I made the tutu, and
Oh,
I wrote a song.
you showed me. You wrote a song,
I did.
absolutely. And I had a listen to that song, and I after the new laws came through just recently, I thought, how are you going to get away with playing that song online?
I don't care. I
Yes.
have an absolute right to freedom of speech, and if they want to come after me, they're going to have a big fight on their hands.
And that's why you and I are on this platform now, because BBS Radio 20 years ago saw what was coming down the road. And
Mm,
that's why they set up this platform with 190 plus going to 250 plus outlets worldwide, because they knew that they needed to create some sort of platform where anybody could talk about whatever it is that they wanted to without being censored. Yeah.
excellent.
Yeah.
That's good.
And that's why you and
Actually,
I are having these conversations now.
yeah, BBS, for me, BBS means Bulletin Board Service. And I had one of the first bulletin board services before the internet came along. I
Okay.
set up the bulletin board service up in Thailand, and it just took off like a rocket.
Right.
So
Yes.
basically, it was a text-based messaging system where people could communicate in real time.
Hmm. Well, we
So,
need to get this message out there because I know there's
hmm,
many, many people looking for change. They just don't know how to do it. They don't know
correct.
what the next steps are that they need to take them for themselves. People think that looking for a new paradigm means having a bit of land and a few chooks, but it's
No.
it's got to be much. We deserve and we're entitled to live a good life, aren't we?
Yeah, exactly. So, which brings me to step four.
Okay.
No taxation. We'll
Yep.
get rid of all taxation, the GST and all these other taxes, the
Yep.
hidden taxes, and we'll have one single tax. Now, who creates the value in this country? The companies, right? They employ people, they manufacture things, they do all of this stuff. So any corporation or company should pay the tax, right?
Yes.
And how do we make them pay tax? Because these governments now don't seem to be capable of collecting any tax off the big corporations. They only collect it off the little guy.
Of the people.
Well,
Absolutely.
very simple. Every time they do a bank transfer, the bank will automatically deduct, say, 2% or 3% off that transfer and put it into the government coffers. Now, that money then will be distributed at the end of each year. So each region at the end of the year will send in a budget request to the central parliament, and the central parliament then will allocate funds out of the general revenue to each region.
And the
And of
general
course,
revenue is what's been taken from the companies and corporate.
that's part of it, yes.
Okay.
But also, it will be funded by the money we make from all our in-ground assets,
Sure.
right?
Hmm.
So we'll have billions and trillions of dollars to play with.
Mm.
So we won't be a poor country anymore.
That's pretty mind-boggling for people because everybody's been kind of um, pressured and emasculated. Is that the word I'm looking for? To a
Well,
point where
yes,
everybody's just thinking about dollars and cents.
yes, because we don't have any,
Yeah.
because the government's stealing it from us.
Yes.
So we have to start changing the way that we live, and
Yeah.
this is how to do it.
So you're inverting the system. You've got a new
Hmm,
system and it's completely inverted from
correct.
what we've got now.
Yeah.
Okay.
So instead of top down, bottom up.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Corporate and companies are paying the tax. We've got access to our wealth and our resources as well.
Correct. Yeah.
And everybody has little pods, little what did you call them? Not the regions. What's the next one down?
Electorates.
The electorates, and
Hmm.
it's local. It's local.
Yeah.
So everybody knows what's going on. And then those funds, that pool is what I want to say this for the people. As soon as you say you don't have to pay taxes, people go, well, who's going to build the roads? That's usually a knee-jerk reaction by a lot of people.
Yeah.
Well, there's going to be incredible wealth to access that can do all of the infrastructure and those sorts of things, isn't there?
Correct. Yeah. And we don't need to ask for a lot of tax. 1 or 2% should be more than enough to fund the government when
Mm.
you add in all of the other riches that we're going to be making. And there will be other riches too. For instance, import-export duties.
Sure.
That is a federal government responsibility in the Constitution.
Yep.
That's their job. That's how they funded the government before Whitlam.
Okay.
Hmm.
Okay. And it all changed with him. Why did it change with him?
Well, he came along in 1972, got elected, and him and Lance Barnard set up for the only time ever in Australia, a single, um, uh, what's the word, ministry. And they took all the control of all of the ministries and they started changing everything. They took out Commonwealth of Australia, they
Yeah.
took out the Queen of
Yeah.
Australia, uh, Queen Elizabeth, and they put in a fake Queen of Australia. Well, who's the Queen of Australia? I don't know any Queen of
So,
Australia, do you?
they did a reset, basically.
Basically, they destroyed the Commonwealth of Australia and
Right.
substituted the government of Australia.
Okay. Yep.
Right. So that's when it all started. And of
Sure.
course, it's been going on. We're like the frogs in the pot, right? They're warming the pot up slowly until now we're cooked.
Yes.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
guess that's why the young people call me a cooker. I
Uh,
don't know. I don't care what they call me.
well,
Because they just don't understand the problems that we face.
no, they don't. They don't have the experience on their shoulders like people like you and I have.
Yeah.
That's unfortunate because there's also a bit of an agenda to really let the current young people, 20s and 30-year-olds, think that they know everything, and then that the people that are older than them don't know a hell of a lot of anything and probably don't need to be listened to. But we've got the wisdom of seeing how it worked nicely and how life can be as opposed to
Yes.
what it's become now, haven't we?
Yeah. Exactly. And
Mm.
I always tell my business mates, hire a teenager now while they still know everything.
That's good advice. I like it. So
Anyway,
how do people, yeah, go on. How do people become a part of this? What's happening next?
well, before I go into that,
Okay.
step 5
All
is
right.
service to the nation. This is the last step.
Okay.
Service to the nation. Now, if the nation is being good to us, as I've just described how it could be,
Yep.
we should give something back to the nation. So what I'm proposing is voluntary service, either in the military or in civil service. And, you go in there, you get trained, and you serve your time, maybe 6 months or 12 months in the military. And then when you come out, you've been trained in how to use your weapon. You take that weapon home, you keep it ready to use at all times, right?
Hmm.
Keep it safe, but the ammunition and the rifle stay together, not one part over here and another part over here. Who came up with that stupid idea? A
Okay.
rifle is supposed to be used,
So you're
not
touching on a
stored.
subject now that's going to trigger a few people, and that's a funny word, isn't it? Trigger, while we're talking about guns. But what you're saying is that everybody should be armed and should have the ability to defend themselves. Yeah.
Not themselves only, our nation too. This would create a civil guard,
Yeah.
right? And we
Why
need
would
a
we need
civil
it?
guard.
Why would we need it?
All right. If you go on to my other website, cirnow.com.au, and
Yes.
search for invasion,
Yeah.
I wrote an article way back in 2014, I think, how we could be invaded. Now, if you look out at the ships coming up and down the coast there every day, I see them here because they're coming down the east coast down to Brisbane, Sydney, Melbourne,
Mhm.
all these container ships. What if one long weekend we're all at the beach enjoying ourselves and a whole flotilla of these container ships sail into our major harbours and disgorge thousands of troops and equipment?
Mm.
And we wouldn't have anybody to defend us.
So,
We've got less than
I hear you. I hear you. We need to have the ability to defend ourselves
Yeah.
regardless. And plus, I think that, the military service, those sorts of things, they have the ability also to instill maturity and good values or morals into our men and women, don't they?
And discipline too.
That's
Uh,
yes,
One
yes.
of the big problems the youth today suffer from is a lack of discipline.
Self-discipline. Mm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So the other part of this is it will become a law that all equipment supplied to the military and civil service must be manufactured in Australia within a certain period,
Okay.
cut-off period, right? So if you're manufacturing bootlaces, you should already be manufacturing them here in Australia and
Yep.
supplying them to the military or civil service.
Yep.
If you're supplying battleships, well, might take a little while, but we'll give you the time to tool up and get it done,
Hmm.
right?
Okay.
And we will provide interest-free loans to businesses to get set up and tool up and train up, right?
And bring
We can get
manufacturing
back,
back to our
yeah,
shores. Yes. Yep.
we'll attract all the manufacturing and we'll give the companies that come back to Australia big tax breaks or total tax breaks
Yep.
and for a certain number of years.
You've
Now,
Go
when I
on.
was in Thailand, there was a thing up there called the Board of Trade, and they came up with a brilliant idea. Any company could come along and ask them for visa and work permit taken care of, um, the ability to borrow money off Thai banks to do business, the ability to buy property, which no foreigner can own property up there, but a company can,
Okay.
and the ability to import specialists to help the business. I
Yep.
got onto that program. And so for 16 years, I got it renewed twice or once. I got it and then I renewed it. So
Yep.
for 16 years, I never paid tax and I had all these other benefits of doing business in Thailand. And it's a brilliant idea.
Right.
So I thought to myself when I came back here, well, we should have the same thing here.
I like this. I like this because I'll go back to the beginning of our discussion. Um, Experience. You've
Mm,
lived it. You've
mm,
lived how this can be better, and
correct.
it's like life's been preparing you for right now.
Yes, I
Yeah.
know. When I look back on it, yes, that's exactly what my life has been.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So we need a new paradigm. So you've gone through all these different trials and tribulations in life itself in order
Mm,
to equip you with the vision and the foresight to be able to see how this can happen. Because I love you've got it down to 5 steps for
mm,
starters. Yes.
yeah.
And you're very detailed about how it's going to roll out and what it's going to
Mm.
look like. Yeah. So, where can people go? What do they need to do next if they want to know more about what you're doing? Is that the point we're at now?
Yes, yes,
Good.
absolutely. So that, the first step is education. People need to educate themselves about possibilities.
Yes.
And futureplan.earth is a good place to start.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
Um, Corruption whistleblower is another good place to go and register there to join a grand jury, right? So what we're doing now is we're collecting names, emails, and postcodes of people so that when we get, say, 100 people in one area or 1,000 people in one area,
Yep.
we'll then call a grand jury there. Now,
Yep.
the other day, I wrote my victim impact statement because about 6 years ago, I was charged with contravening a suppression order.
Right.
Now, the suppression order was ordered by a Supreme Court judge in Victoria in a Victorian court. I live in Queensland. Where did she put the suppression order? On the door of the Victorian courthouse or the court door. Do you think I could see that suppression order up here? So I wrote an article about a court case that she was conducting and I published it.
Mm-hmm.
And I rang up the lawyer the next morning and told him, oh, I've just published this article about your case. Oh, you can't write about that. You can't publish anything. It's under a suppression order. Oh, okay. So I took it down immediately,
Right.
right? No questions asked. And I thought that would be the end of it. But no, these bastards came along and charged me with contravening a suppression order with a possible 5 years imprisonment. Okay, now they chased me through their bloody courts for 5 years, and I kept telling them. Section 80 of the Constitution says you cannot try me for a crime I'm purported to have committed in Queensland. You can't try me in a Victorian court. Oh, no, no, this is all Victorian law. You've got to come down here. So the first time I refused to go down to court. They sent the AFP after me, kidnapped me, took me down there, threw me into prison for 6 days, and I got out on bail. And the next time I went down and stood trial, and it was a farce. 6 days of trial, and the jury came back and said, "Oh yeah, he published the article." I never denied that. Well, I just denied that I knew about the suppression order, but they didn't take that into consideration.
I hear
So
what you're
they
saying,
convicted me.
but I'm going to have to stop you there because we've got 2 minutes to go, right?
Oh,
And
okay.
I hear what you're saying, right? And I mean, again, it's another, it's another example of how our courts have gone
Mm,
a little bit kind of out of bounds and dare I say it, just making things up as they go. Um,
no,
but
you're
we
right.
were getting to there. We just kind of got off track.
Yeah, I did a bit. Sorry about that. But I just wanted to give you the background of where I'm coming from.
Sure.
So, education is essential. If you don't know where you're going, you won't know how to get there,
Yes, yeah,
right?
because we create this new paradigm and we create it
Right.
having goals and vision. Yes.
Correct.
Yeah,
So the future plan.earth is a one plan. There may be other people out there with plans too that people don't know about yet.
sure.
But mine's out there.
Yep,
It's being voted on. People like it. And so I think education is very important. What else can you do? You can lawfully rebel. Stop paying taxes, stop paying fines, stop paying all of these other stupid things they're demanding we pay. I don't pay for electricity, for instance. I
sure.
use a bill of exchange.
Is there on your website some tools and some advice there for people on those subjects as well?
Yep. Yes. If you go on to myholtshow.com, that's my podcast website,
Yes.
and under BOE help on the main menu,
Yep.
it says how to create a bill of exchange.
Okay.
And you follow those steps. And every Thursday night, I host a Zoom chat, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Queensland, which is 7 p.m. down your way.
Yep.
And people can come on and ask questions and meet other people who are doing it. And of course, they gain confidence by knowing others are being successful. Now, I've been doing this for 2 years, and now we've got Zoom calls in Europe
Okay.
and the Americas as well. So I'm
Fabulous.
helping people all over the world.
Growing, it's
And
growing, Mike. Can I also just say MikeHoltShow.com is probably the best one for people because I'm looking at it right now and it has links to all your other platforms.
it does, yeah.
Yes, yes. Okay. Um, and a link to the Zoom as well, that's on there.
Yes,
Oh,
if you
there's
look
Zoom
at,
chats. Yep, yep.
yeah,
Go to MikeHoltShow.com, folks, because you can then just navigate through that website to find all sorts of things that can help you
mm,
to do the things that Mike's been suggesting to you today. Let's create a new paradigm, right? Because it's about
yes,
time. We cannot have this old world anymore that I call it's falling apart. And let's just
mm,
let it all fall apart and let's create something new. What do you
yeah.
think?
I agree 100%.
Yeah.
I'm a firm believer in Gandhi's philosophy on political change. Peace, peaceful, not resistance. That's all we have to do. Because we stop complying with the government, we stop paying their fines, we stop paying anything that they demand. I don't pay electricity, for instance. I
Yep.
just send them a bill of exchange.
Sure.
Spur, the State Penalties Enforcement Registry keeps sending me fines. I just
Yep.
send them a bill of exchange and I ignore them after that. Well, I don't ignore them. I always respond to them and tell them you're trying to commit fraud. You can't do that. So
So let's repeat what Gandhi said.
peaceful resistance.
Peaceful resistance. I think that's a wonderful place to finish off
Mm.
today. I have enjoyed every second of this, Mike. I had no idea we were going to unfold all this stuff. I think it's wonderful what you're doing. I think it's wonderful what Peter and Donna are doing, and you're all connected worldwide with others as well.
Yes, we
So,
are.
yeah, thank you so much for your time. Everybody out there, be encouraged. Let's all create something new. Thank you so
Mm.
much, Mike.
My pleasure. And thank you very much for having me on.
You're welcome.